really quickly with some injury things, talk about Jess. The last sort of thing, like right now, your injury report. Oh no, never mind. There is an addition. Your injury report is Jess Fishlock and Nérilia Mondésir. Both I've pestered Laura about it because no one else will, seemingly. And that's fine. That's fine. Someone's got to do it, right?
It's not
Because
really a
other,
post game question, and the pre games are normally when I have class.
yeah. So I have to do it.
Yeah.
Um, and otherwise she won't say anything because
Yes.
she doesn't have to, right? And we
Right.
just wait for the. So, Coco's dealing with a muscular thing, is what Laura said. Um, and she didn't give much of anything on Jess, which sure.
hmm
Um, and with the level of football that Jess has played, and with what she has to prepare for, like they're gonna do all they can to keep her good and ready for the rest of the year, right?
Right.
Um, what Laura said in terms of injuries for those two is that a few weeks max is what they expect them to be um, out for the remainder of. And the hope is to have them back prior to the next FIFA window. So
Which is like the end of May, so I don't see that happening.
that's what Laura said. Laura
I
has
know
said
it's what
funny things too before.
I know
So
it's what she said, but it's coming up pretty soon. Like if it was like a
yeah,
month out, sure. But saying a couple weeks and then also like they're ready by the end of the month, like before the like FIFA break, I don't know. And
yeah.
then
So
and then
that could be
assuming
Laura speak.
Jess goes, travels to Wales to play,
Yeah.
right? Like I can't imagine, maybe she plays a game or like 15 minutes before she goes or something. But I have to imagine you're focusing on her being as healthy as possible, first and foremost for the Euros.
Of course.
Second for like playoff run, but first and foremost for the Euros because that is such a massive thing for Wales.
Yeah.
And she'll
So
want to be healthy and available to work with her team during the FIFA break, and that'll be the priority for this time around. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
So there's that update because I know I made a new whole template for injury updates because I got tired of no one why is Kiko out, and I'm just like I put some out about it, man. So I put a like it's nice and pretty, but we'll say it on here of course as well. And then the other one, largely the availability report is the two season ending injuries in Ryanne Brown and Veronica Latsko, and then those two. Um, Before I talk about Cassie Miller, I asked to like, I know with an ACL injury, it's a long recovery, right? But I asked Laura, I was like, hey, do you have anything on where Ryanne Brown is? Just like in this, and I think she's at 10 of 12 months of a year since that injury. Laura said she's at the sort of final bit of it, right? Final bit of that, recovery from that. She is in team sessions, and I've seen that, so that's nice. Obviously, again, there's some hurdles she'll have to jump through, but there's that. It's not much, but it's something. At least I know some people like to at least have something. Cassie Miller, um, the open media practice they had last week, they had a Sounders Academy player there, a goalkeeper, and I was like, why is this man here? Which can be used in a lot of settings. I was like, why is this man here? And I looked over at the Ryan, the PR guy, and he goes, "Oh, I don't know. Needed another body." And I'm like, "Okay, you're supposed to know everything." Um, and so I watched the goalkeepers because I'm nosy, and it is an open media practice after all. And Cassie, your backup goalkeeper to Claudia Dickey, acquired in the Lynn Biandolo trade, is sort of working her leg out. You ever see an athlete go down and they're like, she's laying on her back and they're kind of working a leg out? Yeah. I'm like, hey, that explains the man. Because otherwise it was Dickey Prohaska, your third goalkeeper on the roster, and then the man. So I thought that's kind of weird. And then she was listed out on the availability report with a leg injury. So I don't know if that's something that's long term serious. Um, I don't know how much stock you take it into your backup goalkeeper, but I think it's notable. Um, so
I definitely think I have some things to say about
uh-oh.
injuries.
All right.
um, No, I definitely, obviously the hope is that Claudia continues uninjured throughout the season, because she is playing fantastic. Um, I will bring up what you mentioned we might want to bring up, which is that Laura Harvey very much thinks she should be called into the U.S. Women's National Team.
We will talk
Um,
about this. That's
oh,
going to
okay,
be
so
its
I'll
own
so
thing.
I'll make my other points then. Um, so, as long as Claudia's healthy, it's not a huge issue, but it is definitely something to keep an eye on if it's longer
Yeah.
term. In terms of Coco and Jess being out, when I was writing again my story, sorry, I can't say it seriously, otherwise I feel like even more of a dick. Um,
My
but
story?
my story, but she was talking after a game about you know, getting all of their players getting all of their players healthy being one of the most important things. And once they had everyone healthy and could sort of find that ideal mix of youth and veteran players, that they would be one of the best teams in the league and they could beat anybody. Um, and, you know, last year, she was saying arguably our best team played a lot. Like they had some injuries, but they didn't necessarily have they were able to play what was technically their best 11
Mm,
for quite a few of the games. And this year with Lou having missed games and then Jess being out and then now that Coco is out, um, you know, I Coco in particular, I think has been an impressive spark off the bench and a very creative player. And I think that has been missed at times since
mm.
she's been injured. And then obviously Jess is just a brilliant player. I think Sam Meza has made her injury much more tolerable. And I'm hopeful that, you know, how well Sam Meza has been playing, um, defensively, offensively, everything outside of the Houston game, which was just sort of a anomaly for everybody. That allows them to really take whatever time is needed for Jess to be healthy. Um, you know, there can be a tendency to rush players back if you feel like you
Mm,
really, really need them in a certain position. And I
yeah.
think that Sam has done a fantastic job of filling in for Jess in a very, massive shoes to fill. But when she's out there, I'm like, all right, I could be looking at like a younger, faster Jess Fishlock. Like,
To be matter of fact, kind of smaller boots. That she's kind of short.
okay.
Sorry,
I'm
Jess.
also
She's
short.
kill me. Oh.
I think they're like the same height as I am.
Yeah.
But
And she's
so
played
I
well in partnership with Haz as well. I mean,
yeah,
Haz
no,
has
she
mentioned how much she enjoys that partnership and how it's grown.
absolutely. And I think, the benefit of having Has back there pretty consistently is that she has an existing on-field relationship with Jess from playing with Wales. So whenever you are able to integrate Jess back in, that should be a relatively seamless transition, because they're not having to figure out how to play with a brand new player and like sort of fit them back in mid-season. Like they know each other, they know what to expect from Jess. Um, and the Coco injury was one that really kind of took me by surprise. Like I was like, oh crap, didn't realize she was on the injury report. Don't love that. Because they still have options offensively. I would love to see a little more of Maddie Mercado. I think
Yes.
Emery has been a bit up and down, but I really we know what we can get out of her, and I think they're going to want more from her. Um, but Coco just brought something a little different. Can't totally put my finger on it right now, to be honest. Um, but there was just always something about the fight that she played with and the creativity and the willingness to just kind of try some stuff. I think
Hmm.
more than other players at times, she was willing to just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna like kind of try this tricky move. Maybe it didn't work out, but you never know until you try. And then maybe
We
a third
ball.
time she tries that it does work out. Like she's still been adjusting to the level of the NWSL.
Sure.
Um, but I think I do think those injuries have been detrimental to the team. Not that there aren't still very talented players, but I think those are pretty big misses, right? Those are not players that are like sitting at the end of your bench, never playing.
Yeah.
That is one, your franchise player, and then it is, a young player who has come in and, brought experience from a different league, and a sort of young desire to try and be better. Like she's a very hard worker. She's very sweet. Um, so I look forward to hopefully when everyone is healthy and you can kind of see like what the true sort of height of this team can be, because obviously everyone deals with injuries.
Mhm.
Um, and how you deal with those injuries is often going to define your season. And they have to be able to play with injured players. Um, but I do think that it will change things when they are back.
I think,
So
and thank you for, you didn't know I was going to say that, but I wanted to, with the injury report, kind of ask what you'd seen from Coco, because it felt like, I think Coco had dealt with, she landed on the injury report with one of the first four matches, but outside of that, she'd played the rest. And then this one lately has taken her out. So, and obviously it's like, hey, we got to just get this thing figured out. Um, yeah, no, I'd like what she'd, been able to bring. I was really curious with the group that they kind of brought in mid-season, kind of mid-season last year. You know what I mean? With
yeah,
like
during
the
the summer window,
AMC. Yeah, thank you. The Coco. I'm like, okay, we kind of saw bits and pieces of you last year, like, and especially with how hectic, obviously, getting the sale finished was,
right?
and that year was. I'm like, I'm gonna give you a hall pass, essentially. Like,
Yeah.
I know that's not really a thing, but at least with the two nerds on the screen here, like, and
Hmm.
how we run things, I'm giving you a hall pass.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think Anna Maria's had a pretty solid year. She doesn't get quite the sort of appreciation that I think she should get with the way she's able to open up space when she's on the field. Uh,
The thing, like the way I would describe, AMC's, which is my favorite shortened version of a name in the NWSL right
it's very
now.
nice. Yeah.
The thing that the way I would kind of describe her is that she doesn't necessarily do anything exceptional or magical or like you're shocked by it, but she does everything very solidly. She works hard. She's a tall presence, which
Yes.
is beneficial. She's a very physical presence.
Hmm.
She's not really one to be knocked off the ball. And it was after, I don't remember which game it was after. It might have been after the Kansas City game, where Laura was complimenting her defense and being like, they didn't do anything outstanding, but they were solid and they did what they needed to do. And they're like, everyone wants to see the magic of Dabinia and Marta and Roosevelt, and like you
Yep.
want that fun stuff, but you also like those players can't do their magic, try whatever the heck I want if you don't have those very solid players who are just there to do their job.
Yes.
And Anna Maria is, Switzerland's all-time leading scorer. She's a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Capable player.
Mm.
And, she doesn't need to fill a massive role for the Reign, but she can, you know, see a good pass in behind and make it when she maybe hasn't been involved in the offense in that game. Or she can just sort of be positionally solid from her experience, particularly playing wingback again at Barcelona, because that was at least the main place that I'd seen her play wingback. Because I'm pretty sure she plays mostly forward for Switzerland if she's their all-time leading goal scorer. Just a guess. Um, but I think she's just solid. You're not going to get the golasso out of her, but you are going to get what you need. And there are certain games where especially in tight games, like that is just sort of what you need. You need someone who's just there and doing their job,
I mean,
and just connecting the pass. I think it was the North Carolina game where she was sort of part of the build up to Jess's goal,
mm,
like where she just, she knows where she is in space and she will try and make the right pass. And she has a pretty good idea of what the right pass is. Um,
just a
and
very sound player, right? Like,
yeah, someone that can not play 3 games in a row and then you can start her and you're like, I have no doubt that she's going to be solid here.
hmm hmm
Like because that's what it was against Kansas City. She hadn't played in a couple games, and then suddenly she was the starting wing back,
Here
and
you
you're like,
go.
oh, I
Yeah.
guess AMC is back. and there she is playing wingback. I had forgotten that she could play that, but she can. And there is a lot of value to having a player that will just be ready and be ready and be professional and be knowledgeable and calm and solid. Like there's just a lot of, they're not going to get the praise, they're not going to get a ton of the attention, but that doesn't mean that they're not contributing.
Yeah, and I think because, with the additions to this league in the past few years, people see what they do, and I understand it. I mean, if the sale had gone through normally, maybe we'd have one.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But and so people get caught up in wanting that, and I understand that for sure, right? I mean, sports are typically defined by their best players, right? Um, which isn't a bad thing, but I think especially in this world now, of social media, like you get so well, it's somewhat instant gratification. You want to see that. You want to see the flashy pass, the banger goal.
Yeah, you want to see the
Um,
highlight.
you want to see the highlight. Exactly. And, maybe she's not necessarily doing that, but like you said, there's just so many things to like from what she can bring from you. Like you said, bringing her off essentially into a game cold where she hasn't been, in the 18. Well, she's in the 18, but she hasn't been
Yeah.
starting, or getting consistent minutes. Like, you know, it just, yeah, there's a lot like that physical presence, it's just another player, another forward. And I feel bad because it feels like so often, not you and I specifically, but maybe like kind of stringers who come in and talk to these players, these younger forwards like a Darlene, like an Adamas, and they're like, hey, how is it to learn from Lynn Biondolo? It's like, well, Anna Maria Srnagorcevic is also a very like knowledgeable forward. Like she's not a slouch, you
No.
know.
Yeah.
I feel like she gets kind of left out of that. So yeah. But anyway, her and then talking about Coco, I to go back to the like injury up. This is going to be like an injury report segment. I had to write that
Mm-hmm.
down for when I cut these into segments. Um, because it's been tough and it was really exciting. I liked what I saw from her in the minute she got before this most recent stint, and it sucks because
Yeah.
I'm sure for her, she's feeling more comfortable this year. Um, you know, like as you mentioned, being able to try things, feeling the comfort to try things because there are teams, coaches in sports where maybe players don't feel safe trying things. They don't feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable trying things. Being able to, oh, sorry. The Sounders match is happening and the player just said a bad word. I was very shocked. He said
Shocking. We
fuck
haven't
off.
done any of that. Not me.
No,
Never.
I mean, just who would say this sort of shit? Um, yeah. So yeah. Anyway,
We're
I wanted to get
funny.
the Coco sort of look here for where we're at. So anyway, you brought up Claudia.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, where are you going to watch all the away games for Seattle Reign FC this year?
Away games. Well, since Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See y'all here.